So far?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just getting some work done. I just got back from a little hit cardio, little run before this, little midday run. So felt good and just doing my thing. I got back late last night from a flight, so just kind of getting back in the groove today.
Nice, man. How many hours are you flying these days?
It's honestly not that much because I fly, I don't know how much you know about aviation, but it's called like Part 91. So I fly for one aircraft owner on one airplane. So essentially I'm someone's personal pilot and we just fly him and his family and business colleagues, etc. So we don't fly a ton compared to airline guys or people that fly charters where they're, chartering different clients every single day, flying all the time. So we don't fly a ton, but the schedule's kind of more sporadic because, we might get a call today that we have to fly tomorrow, or trips change a lot, business plans change a lot with a lot of these high level people that I've flown for in the past. So it's very dynamic, but I'd say usually we fly maybe once or twice a week.
Okay, cool, man. And what type of plane do you fly?
It's a Gulfstream G650.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty nice plane.
It's a very nice plane. Yeah, very nice.
It's like a $30-40 million jet?
65 to maybe 70 million new right now. So yeah, it's one of the most expensive private airplanes you can buy.
So that's what Elon's flying in all the time, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think Elon has one, Oprah, like Disney Corporation, Coca-Cola, some of the biggest like Fortune 500 companies in the world and the wealthiest people in the world.
Amazing. What was that? Sorry?
They have Gulfstreams. Yeah,
amazing.
Company.
So that seats like 18 passengers or so, something like that.
Yeah, depending on the configuration, we can do up to 19. So like the one I fly is 16 currently. So usually it's like 13 to 16 depending on the layout. And you can go 13 to 16 passengers pretty much anywhere in the world nonstop. Our top range is 7,500 nautical miles. So to put that into perspective, Miami to Dubai, one way straight on a good day, you could probably get there.
Okay.
So we can go a long way. We go super fast, super high, and it's like the coolest thing to fly. So
amazing.
Much better than that.
Dude, it doesn't get better than that, dude. Oh my God. So for all the people that are listening today, my guest is Ryan Huber. And I came across Ryan on YouTube. I don't really share a lot about my passion about airplanes, but I've been playing Flight Simulator since I was like 9 years old. Yeah. And I play Flight Simulator on Xbox quite often, right here next to me while I'm working. And I was just watching YouTube videos on planes, and I'm watching videos of planes landing at JFK and private jets. And, I typed in private jet charter, and Ryan popped up on my screen. And I watched a couple of his videos, and I was like, yo, this guy's pretty cool. He's got a lot of content about entrepreneurship. He's got a lot of content about fitness. He's got a lot of content about real estate. And I was like, got to get this guy on the podcast. So we're going to talk a little bit about what you're up to, your personal growth journey, your entrepreneurship journey, some of the biggest lessons that you've learned, not only just becoming a pilot, but into your entrepreneurship journey as well. And just leave a couple golden nuggets for the audience today. How's that sound?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it. So let's take a couple steps back. Tell us a little bit about your story. You can start from wherever, but tell us a little bit how you became a pilot and what you're up to now.
Yeah, so it really started with my grandma. So when I was a little kid, she used to take me to Peachtree DeKalb Airport around Atlanta, Georgia. So it's kind of a little municipal airport. Business jets fly out of there, small airplanes, and there was a playground by the airport. So like every other weekend or once a month, she would take me to go watch airplanes. We'd play on the playground. That was just kind of our thing. So from a young age, I just thought airplanes were really cool. I didn't really know what exactly I wanted to do with airplanes, but I just always thought they were super cool in the back of my head. So I was like, one day when I grow up, I want to do something with planes because that just always kind of stuck with me. So fast forward a couple of years, because of that experience when I was a little kid, for my 10th birthday, I wanted to take a flight lesson. So when I was really young, I was like 10 years old, and I was like, I want to fly. I want to do this now. And the rules are you can't get your pilot's license until you're 17, But me at 10 years old, I thought I could do anything. And I was like, I want to fly now. Like, I'm going to convince the FAA that I'm going to get my license. So like my parents were like, all right, Ryan, like we'll get you an intro flight for your 10th birthday and we'll see how it goes. And they got me a flight lesson, and I absolutely loved it. And funnily enough, they thought it would scare me. So they thought like it would scare me away from it. And I'd be like, oh shit, I don't want to fly anymore. That was crazy, but I absolutely loved it. And then I remember like coming home and I was like, all right, like when's the next one? And they're like, Ryan, you're 10 years old. Like it doesn't make sense for you to do all these flight lessons, and we don't have the money to do this right now. And like, maybe you could do a few more over the years, but you can't get your license until you're 17. So I was devastated. I was like crying. I didn't know what to do. I was like, how am I going to get my pilot's license? And I actually sent the FAA an email letter, like trying to persuade them why I should be 10 years old and get my pilot's license and not have to be 17. And I think my mom still has it somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
Legend. So I was like, I'll email the FAA and try and persuade them. That didn't work out. So kind of similar to you, I messed around with a flight simulator when I was a kid. I think I got one when I was 11 or 12. And it was like Microsoft Flight Simulator X, had the little yoke pedals, and I'd be on the desktop and messing with that. I remember I'd like take off, put it on autopilot, and then go jump on the trampoline for like 2 hours and come back and see where the plane was and then go land it. So I don't do that anymore. I actually fly planes now, and I'm not just chilling in the back with it on autopilot. I wish it was that easy. But yeah, so loved aviation as a kid. Fast forward to high school, I wasn't into it as much. It kind of fizzled out. I was normal high schooler. And then when I graduated, I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And I remember researching a school called Embry-Riddle, which is like the top aviation school in the country, if not the world. They have a few different campuses, but I ended up going there for college, and I was just like, I want to do something in aviation. I still wasn't sure if I wanted to be a pilot full time, if I wanted to get into aviation business, whatever. So I was like, I'll go there. I got a decent scholarship, went there for about a year, and I was pursuing like aviation business, but I wasn't flying. And I guess I should mention that before that in high school, I got my private pilot's license. So I learned to fly, got my private pilot's license in high school. I was a senior. Just did it at a local flight school. So I had the aviation thing going, but I wasn't sure, do I fly professionally? Do I sell airplanes? Do I work for Boeing and do some, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, but I went to the school and did that for a year. And I saw other kids there that were flying and pursuing the like airline pilot route or, jet pilot route. And I just thought to myself after a year, I was like, if I don't ever fly a jet in my life, I'm going to completely regret it. So I need to do this. So I kind of took a step back and said, I can go two ways. I can go through school and then maybe get my ratings after, or I can do my ratings now and then come back to school. And the most important thing in flying is how many hours you have. So it's all based on hours, how much experience. So I'm like, if I build the hours now, I can maybe get a job, flight instruct, something like that, and then do school online on the side. So I left school. I ended up going to a trade school called ATP Flight School. It's the largest aviation trade school in the country. And I went there because it's an accelerated track. So it was the fastest way I could get all my ratings, because for those listening that don't know, you start off with your private pilot certificate, and that allows you to fly little 4-seat airplanes like a Cessna. You can go buzz around with your friends and family, but you can't fly for hire and you can't go fly a jet with just that license. So I had that leaving high school, but I said, okay, I need to do the rest, which is instrument, commercial, flight instructor, multi-engine, things like that. So I went to ATP. I ended up getting the program done, and I think it was 5 months and 3 weeks. Wow. Or like in 3 weeks. It was super fast. So
flying 8 hours a day.
Well, kind of, yeah. So we usually fly like 2 hours a day, sometimes 4. And then there was a lot of ground school on top of that. But it was like a Monday through Friday, every single day type of thing. And I remember the first day I showed up there, they scheduled my next check ride before I even took a lesson. So it was like, all right, next week's going to be your multi-engine private check ride. And we start the curriculum today. And in 7 days, you got to go pass the test.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. So I was like, okay, So it was really fast, but I went through that, and getting into the content side of things in YouTube, I documented a lot of my training on YouTube through ATP, and that's kind of what I'm known for, I guess, or my main kind of content. Like, people will recognize me for that because I was really interested in the program that I ended up doing, but there wasn't a whole lot of documentation or YouTube videos on what it was truly like.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into it and I said, okay, week by week, I'm going to document my training, how it's going, and show people the process. And I also thought it would be a good way to hold myself accountable, because I knew that if I was posting videos saying, hey, today's my multi-engine check ride, or today's my instrument check ride, I couldn't fail, or if I did, I'd have to tell everybody about it. So I was like, I'm going to hold myself accountable by making these videos and posting my progress.
Smart.
Yeah, I ended up doing that. I got some traction. I inspired a lot of people to go to ATP flight school and just get into flying in general. So that's pretty cool to have people DM me every once in a while and be like, hey, I got into flying because of you, or people will see me at the airport. And that's pretty neat. So yeah, I went to that school, graduated super quick. And they ended up having a partnership with Arizona State University. And kind of funny backstory, but I was dating a girl at the time who, we both lived in Georgia, but she was going to Arizona State, and the flight school that I went to had a partnership with Arizona State. So I'm like, okay, cool. When I graduate, I'll just go instruct for Arizona State. We'll live together. It'll be this great thing. I was like 19 at the time. I ended up doing that. And then like a week into it, she was like, hey, this isn't really working out. I want to go be a sorority girl and live my life. And you're not really like in the same world as me. And so that didn't work out. The relationship failed, but I stayed in Arizona, which is kind of the best market for flight training because the weather's so good year round. So there's a ton of flight schools out there. So I went out to Arizona, knew nobody out there besides my ex-girlfriend who, that faded out, and just started applying for jobs. Got a job at a local flight school, started teaching people to fly. And then through that, one of the schools I taught for, they had a charter department as well. So they had the flight school side, and then they also had a little citation jet that they would charter, and the owner of the flight school would run charter trips on it. And so when I interviewed, one of the first things they asked me, they're like, he got a call in the interview for a charter trip. He was like, hey, you want to come with me to Vegas next week? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so I got to sit right seat on this citation jet and go with him to Vegas and experience like the private jet charter lifestyle, the pilot lifestyle. And I was hooked on that. I always wanted to fly private jets just because I thought it was super cool, and it's a little bit more niche than the airlines. And we could get into that, but did that, instructed for a while, built time up. And then I ended up like passing out resumes at the local airport that I was at. So I would go around, like, it'd be 110 degrees in Arizona, and I'd wear a suit and like go into different charter companies and like just give them my resume, because I'd be like, hey, you probably don't need me now. I was maybe 20 at the time. I'm 19, 20 years old. I don't have much time, but in the future, if you need anybody, here's my resume. Just keep me in mind. So I did that while I was instructing. And then I got a call from a charter company, started doing that full time, flying a Citation CJ3. I was a first officer on that. Flew charter out of Scottsdale, kind of all over the country, around North America. I was probably 20 at that time. And then kind of crazy thing, but through networking and a friend that I had at Embry-Riddle back in the day, I got a call while I was kind of looking for new jobs. And he said, there's this guy in Cairo, Egypt, that needs pilots on a Gulfstream G650. And I was like, well, why are you calling me? I'm this kid. I don't really have much experience. And it sounded too good to be true at the time. But I applied anyway, and I ended up talking to the guy, and it worked out. And I got hired to fly this G650 for a billionaire over in Egypt. And a lot of the reason was they had 3 pilots at the time who were all seasoned captains. And the billionaire was kind of stingy, and they wanted to hire 4 pilots so that they could rotate home and kind of have a better schedule. But they're like, if we hire a 4th, it's going to be more money. So let's just take the 3rd pilot salary and split it into like 2 first officer salaries. So I was kind of undercutting the market in a way, but I was getting paid not what I should have been paid. But I was like, I want to go, fly all over the world and fly this cool airplane. I'm like, screw it, I don't care what I'm getting paid. So I went over to Cairo and ended up doing 45 days on, 45 days off on a rotational schedule, flying a G650 over there for a billionaire for about 3 years. And then since then, I've flown for a bunch of different wealthy people on Gulf Streams in particular around North America. And then now I'm flying a G650 as a co-captain out of Miami.
Amazing.
So it's been a crazy ride. And I'm super fortunate because most people in their early 20s aren't flying that kind of equipment and having a lot of these experiences. So it's been a blessing. And I never thought I'd get to flying these type of airplanes like this quickly. But it's been really
Congratulations, dude. That sounds so freaking cool. Traveling the world, shaking hands and rubbing shoulders with people who are doing massive things. And that's really cool, dude. So let me ask you this. Where's the next level for you from here? How do you level up from where you're at right now?
That's a really good question because it's kind of been tough because I didn't think I'd be at this level as a pilot like this early in my life. For me, when I was younger, I was like, maybe it'll take 10 years or 15 years. It ended up taking, a few years. So there might be opportunity to get into aircraft sales, aircraft management, something like that in the aviation side. Also, I've experimented with other industries because one of the beautiful things about being a pilot is we don't work every day. So it's not like a typical 9 to 5 where you clock in, you work 8 hours, 12 hours, and you're grinding every day. Like we might fly once a week, or we might have, a week off, 2 weeks off, depending on our client's schedule. So that gives me a lot of time to pursue other business ventures. So one thing that I did while I was in Egypt, while we had downtime, was I got into real estate wholesaling. So I know that, you sell houses and you might be familiar. Are you familiar with wholesaling and
like finding off-market properties, getting them under contract, and then selling the contract to a buyer?
Yeah, exactly. So I started doing that in 2019. And I did that for about 3 years. I'd be like cold calling from a hotel room at the Four Seasons in Cairo.
Dude, the dream.
It was pretty wild. So it'd be like 3 a.m, I'm in my underwear, cold calling sellers, and they're in Atlanta, and they're like, "Why is the signal so bad? I can't hear you." And I'm like, "I don't know. Like, let me step outside my office real quick." And I'm, in Africa, Northern Africa, trying to call them and make offers on their houses. But yeah, so I did that for a while. I actually did an internship with Cardone Capital. So if you don't know, I fly for Grant Cardone right now. So I'm one of Grant Cardone's pilots, and I fly for him. And I did an internship with Cardone Capital in their multifamily fund. So yeah, I think real estate long term is something that's really cool. I want to build that more. Get into multifamily. I think it's the best asset you can have for tax advantages, wealth protection, etc. So
amazing. Yeah, I'm actually an investor of Cardone Capital. Yeah, so nice. I put not too much money, a little bit, into one of the funds. I'm a non-accredited investor, but I got into one of the funds. It was COVID. It was like, threw some money in Bitcoin, threw some money in real estate, threw some money in stocks. Might as well give a couple thousand to Uncle G. You know what I mean? So yeah, I got a $17 dividend a couple weeks ago in mid-July. And there we go, baby. That's for life. That's for life. Yeah, I should have gave him more money. Yeah. So that's cool. You fly for Grant Cardone. Wow, that is awesome, man.
Yeah.
Really cool. So being a pilot has really given you the time to work on other ventures, and you see yourself building a legacy or a future or a portfolio, if you will, in other assets like real estate. But I want to talk more about actually the content creation, because you're doing good on YouTube, man. You got a video that's done 340,000 views. You got a couple that have done over 100,000, if not close. So, where are you at with the content creation? Like, is that a piece of your income, or do you see that growing long term? Do you feel like putting some time, energy, and attention into YouTube, and I know you got a good following on Instagram as well, is going to compound over time? What are your thoughts and opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a good vehicle and a personal brand is huge. I've slacked on it recently. I should be posting more. I need to post more. It hasn't been the top priority for me recently. And it kind of comes in waves. I think it's tough to be consistent on. And a lot of people don't realize, like, and my fiance does content full time. She does like influencer work, and then she works for a med spa and does their social media marketing. But it's a full-time job. So like making YouTube videos,
dude.
like it's absolutely a full-time job. So some of my time is, I think, better used in trying to do other things, but I definitely want to come back to YouTube in the right way. Really, like if I'm going to come back to it and really go at it, I want to make sure that I'm providing the right value, the right content, and doing it from a place that's not just like a view suck or a money grab in a way. Cause I thought about different things I could do with the channel, but yeah, I definitely do have some traction with YouTube. I started it in 2016, so I think I have 101 videos, but it's been spaced out over a long period of time. So yeah, like 7 years. So it's kind of just, it's a slow burn, but to answer one of your questions, like it does pay. It pays a little bit of money. I think I get $200 a month pretty consistently as just like a cash flow passive income off of it. And like I haven't posted a video since the beginning of this
6 months
year,
ago,
I think.
dude. So, you haven't posted in 6 months. It
still pays, but yeah, I need to commit to something, even if it's just one video a month.
Yeah.
And then just build from there. A video a month, video every 2 weeks, video a week, and try and put more out there for sure.
Yeah, dude, you're so right, man. Content creation and putting out content on a consistent basis is so tough. And for me, so a little bit about me, I went to University of Florida, grew up in Palm Beach, Florida, and right when I graduated college, I went on a TV show called Big Brother on CBS.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Reality TV show, 8 guys, 8 girls, locked in a house, no phone, no TV, nothing to read, all competing for $500,000. Now, I did not win. I was 23 years old. I'm now 32, but I was 23 years old at the time, just graduated from college. And being on the show, you come out with some followers, right? So I had 300,000 Instagram followers, a couple 100,000 Twitter followers, YouTube subscribers, whatever. But at the time, I didn't know what to do with it. And I was a lost puppy, dude. I had no direction in life. I knew nothing about personal finance. I knew nothing about self-development. I knew nothing about entrepreneurship. I was like, oh, let me just post random ass shit on Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. Well, I lost a lot of followers because people didn't know what they were going to get. And I was kind of just an idiot. But then in 2015, I got into real estate. And I started selling real estate in 2015 down in like Delray Beach area, which I'm sure there's a 10X living over there. And so I started selling real estate, and then I started being in rooms with people who were millionaires, and I started being around people who were buying real estate, and started being around people that were buying stocks. I was like, all right, let me give this a try. Bought my first rental property in 2016. It was a 1-bedroom condo. I bought it for $90,000, right? Rented it out for $1,200 a month. Was like, all right, this is working, right? I was like, all right, cash flowing like, I was cash flowing like $700 a month. I was like, there's no way, dude. Dude, it was a 1-bedroom condo. I still own it. 1-bedroom condo, 500 square feet, no washer and dryer. It's in an HOA. HOA is like 300. Okay. But because Palm Beach, Jupiter area, seasonally, December through March, May, a lot of the Cardinals, the Astros, the Nationals, and the Marlins all do their spring training here. On top of that, it's a big golf capital. So Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Donald Trump. I mean, everyone who's anybody plays golf in Jupiter, Florida. So seasonally, demand here almost over 10X's. And I closed in January, and I listed it, and someone's like, "I'll pay you $1,800 a month for 4 months, like per month." I was like, "Well, my mortgage, I financed $60,000 at 3%. It literally 30-year fixed rate mortgage, right? And everything, including HOAs, tax, insurance, was like $850. I was like, am I onto something? So then, long story short, I was like, double down, right? Let's buy another one. Let's buy stocks. Let's wake up early. Let's hit the gym. Let's eat healthy. Let's read books. Let's ask more questions to more rich people. 7 years later, it's been doubling my net worth every single year. I'm not a millionaire yet, but I'm close. And it's about having conversations with rich people. And it's about learning from other people's mistakes. And it's about doing small things small wins each and every single day. But I want to hear more about like your personal growth story. Like, what are some of the things that you're focused on? What are some things that you're trying to get better at? What skills are you trying to sharpen? And where do you see yourself going from here?
Yeah, that's a great question. And kind of to take it back a little bit, I've always been into like personal growth, personal development. I think that's something that's huge in my life and has been foundational, and a lot of which because like my parents weren't ultra successful. I grew up with a single mom. It wasn't like I had these like glorious role models to look up to, and I took some things from them, but a lot of it was like kind of lessons on what not to do. So I found a lot of inspiration online from people like Grant, Ty Lopez, Gary Vee, a lot of the, typical gurus, and then more kind of in the weed stuff, but books, etc. But yeah, I think one thing that I'm like trying to focus on now is just focusing on the journey. I think one thing that I got stuck with a few years ago was I was so like results and destination driven that once I got to a certain place, it was like, where do I go now? And it was kind of, you're always chasing the carrot of happiness or fulfillment or whatever that looks like. Like, oh, when I fly a Jeep 650 or when I make this much money, or, if I just scale my business to, 20,000 a month, 100,000 a month, whatever it may be, then it'll be good. Or like when I can just tweak these systems and the business is doing this, then it'll be good and I'll be happy. Or, when I have the penthouse and the car and like, but as you go along, you realize that that's very fleeting and it doesn't bring you happiness. And then you'll get to some of these places and it's like, now what? And, some of the best moments of my life were like 2017, sleeping on an air mattress in a 1-bedroom apartment, making $25 an hour, flight instructing, grinding my ass off in the hot Arizona summer, next to some kid in a plane, buzzing around in turbulent, sweating, like almost passing out, carrying a gallon of water because we're just sweating in this little airplane with no air conditioning. Like those are some of the best times of my life. And, there's joy in that just as much as there is accomplishing something or having the nice watch or the nice car. And I think shifting my focus over the last couple of years has been huge for me, and just trying to focus on progress, focus on the daily actions. A good book is like Atomic Habits. I think is really good, focusing on I think it's the 1% rule, or there's another book like talking about just 1% better every day, or focusing on the day. I think is super important, because like if you can win the day, you're winning life. And there's a quote that I like a lot. I don't know exactly what it is. I was trying to think of it before the call actually, but it goes like, you have two men that are walking and the task is like walk 100 miles. And there's one guy that's focused on 100 miles and there's another guy that just loves walking. The guy that loves walking is always going to go further than the one that's just focused on the goalpost.
Right.
And I think that's huge. And I try and apply that more and more into my life, especially now, every day.
Yes, dude, so true. It's all about the journey, man. Because look, 10, 20 years from now, we're going to be multi-millionaires. We're going to have the house. We're going to have the cars. And we're going to say, man, don't you wish we were 26, 27, 30 years old again? Like grinding, trying to put YouTube videos up, grinding on the podcast, grinding, trying to make some money. So you're so right. So let me ask you this then. Knowing that, and that being one of the biggest lessons you've learned, or at least what you're trying to be more intentional about, shifting the focus from the destination to the journey, embracing the journey, loving the journey, right? Making the most out of each and every single day. How do you do that? And what do you need to be intentional about? Or what are some of like those micro shifts, cosms, perspective changes that you got to remind yourself each and every single day to make sure that you're actually doing that and not looking too far ahead?
That's where the rubber meets the road. I think a lot of it is health. I think a lot of it for me is health and sleep play a huge role in my mental health. And I notice that a ton. Like if I sleep bad, or if I'm not eating well, or if I'm drinking more, I think that takes a huge drain on my mental capacity. So like eating the right things, going to bed at a good time, getting sleep. It's funny, people like overlook sleep, and hustle culture is like, oh, you sleep 4 hours a day, sleep when you're dead, grind. And if you listen to, I've gone down the rabbit hole, as I'm sure you probably have too, with a lot of the different biohacking books, health books. And the kind of, it's almost like defeating when you hear that, like they'll just be like, oh, like sleep really good, or sleep's the most important thing. And you're like, well, that's not what I paid the money for. Like, what are all of the little hacks and the crazy stuff? And you're like, no, they're just like, no, like sleep really well. And that's like 90%. And it's true, you know, sleep good, eat good. I think that's huge. You know, waking up early or waking up in accordance with like your sleep chronotype and what works well for you is really important. I think that not everybody's created equal. Some people need more sleep, less sleep, different times of the day, but you know, find something that works for you and stick with it. And then, you know, just focus on the daily tasks. And I think if you have a big goal, breaking it down into daily actions and focusing on the actions is a lot more important than focusing on the goal or the result. You can say, I want to be a millionaire. And Grant Cardone talks about this a lot, but it's like, what's the millionaire math? So it's like, okay, how much money is that per day? How much money is that per hour? Or depending on what business you're in, if your average deal size as a real estate agent is, call it a $10,000 commission. So you've got to sell 100 houses at a $10,000 commission to make $1 million. So 100 houses is, what is that? Give my math, 6. What's 100 divided by 12? 100 by 8 houses a month.
Okay.
8 houses a month. So you got to sell 8 houses a month. So 2 houses a week.
Mm-hmm.
So how many appointments do you have to go on?
Right.
How many cold you have to make to get those appointments? And I think if you focus on that, and then the goal shifts from $1 million a year to this many cold calls or this many appointments, then you can focus on the journey and fall in love with that. And even if the day goes bad, you say, well, at least I hit my 100 cold calls and I did my 2 appointments today, or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a lot more peace in that than trying to rush a goal or, you know, focus on the million.
Right.
And I saw a video you posted on Instagram before the call here that I liked a lot with Gary Vee. The one with Gary, talking about patience and humility. Yep. And you're like, the million's going to come if I just focus on the same things. Cause you're like, when I'm 65, I'm still going to be waking up at 4:30 and grinding and doing this. So I think that's huge, man. And, you know, it's like, and then when the million comes, like, now what? Or when $1 billion comes, it's like, now what? Like, what are you going to do? Are you just going to go travel the world and sit on a beach and drink Mai Tais? And that's fun. I've done it. You know, I've been fortunate to travel to over 20, 25 countries. And, you know, I've been to Monaco, I've been to Thailand, Bali, you know, Italy, Geneva, all kinds of crazy places, Cabo, Tulum, wherever. And, you know, it's fun for a week to go, you know, sip drinks and go to the beach club and hang out and do your thing. But then it's like, after a while that gets old and it's not very fulfilling. You know, you can travel the whole world in a year and see it all and be like, all right, that was cool. You can go down some of these like hedonistic paths, you know, get a couple of sick cars. Like, I'm not a huge car guy, and I don't have the money yet to go just buy Lambos and Ferraris and all that crap. But let's say you do, like, after a while, then, you know, now what? You know? So it's like, I feel like you got to focus on the journey, progress, and, you know, ultimately, you know, do something daily that's going to fulfill you. And that's a lot more than just like, okay, we hit the target, and then, you know, what now?
Right. So what I heard is self-care is the most important thing, right? Making sure we're getting good sleep, making sure we're eating healthy, making sure we're working out, and then hitting those micro goals each and every single day, right? Like this year, I'm trying to make $100,000 as a life coach, $100,000 as a realtor, right? How many clients do I need every single month? How many clients do I need every single, you know, week to hit that 100,000? Well, it's one new client a week. I want to sell 12 houses to make over $120,000 as a realtor. How many dials do I got to make each and every single day, right? And my micro goals are, I got to have 5 live interviews a day. I got to talk to 5 new people a day. Ask them about their family. Ask them what they do for work. Ask them what they like to do for fun. Ask them what their dreams are. And then somehow organically pivot that conversation to real estate, or somehow organically pivot that conversation to life coaching, right? So I think you hit the nail on the head, man. It's all about just hitting those daily goals each and every single day. So let me ask you this question, Ryan. What are some of the goals that you're sprinting towards right now? Like, what is a goal that you have that's like a little out of reach, but if you 10x your action, you'll hit that goal? What are you really focused on right now?
That's a good question. I would say, I mean, my kind of overwhelming financial goal is $100,000 a month passive from owning real estate, specifically multifamily. So finding deals, finding partners, syndicating deals, that's something that I'm not in right now, but I want to get into and accomplish over the next 10 years. So I think that's, a big goal that I have and something that I want to pursue. And yeah, I think
all around the country or in South Florida?
I'd say mostly Florida. I like the Florida market a lot. It depends on where deals make sense, but I think Florida, Arizona, Texas, Sunbelt are really good markets for.
Now, do you want to be like a hands-on investor where you own it, you're going to do the property management and stuff like that, or do you want to have partners? Tell me a little bit more about what you're trying to accomplish. Maybe we can help each other.
I think to start off with, like syndicating, bringing on partners. I don't have a ton of capital to go buy stuff right now. But like syndicating deals, starting with like an 8-plex, a 12-plex, getting into bigger stuff, and then just scaling up from there. But ultimately, I want to be a GP. I want to be in control of these deals, and then raise money and syndicate larger stuff. Like I'm really inspired by what Grant's done, and he's firsthand role model on a lot of this. And, it's like $5 billion assets under management, some of the most pristine multifamily assets around Florida and the country. And it's not even about just like the buildings or the flex or the number, but there's so much security with the asset class and with the cash flow and what that provides, tax advantages, generational wealth, and that's something that you can pass on to your family. And I think real estate more than anything is indestructible. I mean, we've seen different asset classes go up and down, stocks, crypto, whatever you're into. But I don't think real estate is ever going to go down. I mean,
you can touch a building. You can touch a house.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't touch a Bitcoin.
In the short term, there's corrections and stuff. We're seeing that in office buildings, the commercial space. Markets are kind of frozen. Interest rates keep going up. But over the long term, people are always going to need a place to live. So I think long term, that's a very safe play. And a coin phrase that a lot of people have, and Grant even uses, is it's not get rich quick, it's get rich for sure. And if you stack your cards right and do real estate over a long period of time, it's pretty much a for sure way to get rich. And it's not quick. It's not like you're going to go out and buy a few buildings in a couple of months and be making millions of dollars or have, a huge portfolio. But if you chip away at it, then it's pretty much guaranteed if you look at most people that have done it successfully.
Dude, love it, man. I'm all about it. Real estate is a great vehicle to park wealth. It's a great vehicle to grow wealth. I know Grant, up until recently, was all about buying rentals and renting where he lives. He shifted out. He bought a beautiful house in California that I think he's staying at a little bit, which is nice. It's a beautiful house right on the water. And, whether you're buying real estate to rent it out or you're buying a house to live in for more than 7 years or so, real estate's a great investment, guys. It really is. Unfortunately, there's a high barrier to entry. You got to have at least, minimum 5% down. It's better if you got closer to 20. And, Grant would tell you, don't you dare put down 20%. But someone who I'm a fan of, who actually has a lot of beef with Grant, I'm going to say this. I'm a big fan of Dave Ramsey out there, guys. So if you want to learn about personal finance and you want to learn from Grant, and you also want to hear devil's advocate, the polar opposite of Grant's mentality of leverage and borrow people's money, listen to Dave Ramsey. And like I say, guys, just because you listen to Gary Vee or just because you listen to Grant Cardone or just because you listen to Dave Ramsey, you don't have to follow what they say by law, guys. Take what you like from each person and come up with your own plan. But real estate is a very, very sure way to
and I think that's a good
wealth,
point, because there's so many people talking online, and it's like take little things, but don't take everything as fact. And take what speaks to you, because everybody's different. So just because somebody wakes up at 4 a.m. and they hit the gym and they live a certain way or they have a certain mindset doesn't mean you have to fall into that. There's the 4-hour work week. There's the Gary Vee work week. There's, real estate. There's leverage. There's no leverage. So it's like, do what speaks to you, and ultimately, don't compare yourself to anybody else, and, follow your own journey. And I think that's another thing that is super important, is like follow your own path and your own journey, and understand there's going to be failures and challenges and things along the way. And just because somebody else built something one way doesn't mean that you have to do exactly what they did.
Absolutely. And also, we're all on our own timetable, right? Don't compare your chapter 2 to someone's chapter 30. Obviously, Grant is out here. He was called the hidden billionaire for a little bit. I think it's clear he is a billionaire at this point. Don't compare yourself to Uncle G. Don't compare yourself to Dave Ramsey. Don't compare yourself to Gary Vee. Don't compare yourself to someone else who has more Instagram followers, more YouTube subscribers, or they might look like they have more money because they're driving a Tesla Model 3. I promise you guys, those cars are not that expensive. But to all those people out there that want to follow Ryan, go ahead and follow Ryan on Instagram at It's Ryan Huber. Ryan Huber, ITSRYAN Huber. And then go ahead and check him out on YouTube at Prop Gear. I'm going to drop his Instagram link, and also the link to his YouTube in the show notes below. Ryan, dude, it was an awesome conversation. It was great connecting with you. It was good adding you to my network. Maybe we can put a wholesale deal together. Maybe we can raise some money and buy a 16-door property. But is there anything else you want to leave the audience with today? Anything else you want to say or share with people that are listening?
Yeah, I think it's, I want to say it's a JFK quote, but it's, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. So I'll give them that. I've been through ups and downs with different things, failed businesses, getting fired from jobs, and I've also had successes. And I think it's, failure is not fatal. Success is not final, but just keep going, continue, focus on each and every day and try and be better, and focus on your own journey, and you'll prosper and you'll get to where you want to go.
Love that. All right, Ryan. Well, listen, man, continue to fly safe out there. Don't forget to bring the landing gear up when you take off, and put it down when you're about to land. I'm going to go over here and continue to play my flight simulator. I got a couple landing challenges and a 60-mile-an-hour wind over at JFK later today. But it was a pleasure getting to know you, my man. Good luck with everything this year. Continue grinding, continue hitting that cardio, and maybe we'll get a workout in it sometime. I head down to Miami often, at least twice a month. So next time I'm down there, if you're not too busy flying the G650, maybe we can get together for a workout.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Yeah, because I'm in Fort Lauderdale, so
okay, good.
Not too far.
We'll definitely
have to link up soon.
Sounds good, man.